ACCUSTATS Video Productions presents from the Roseland Ballroom in New York City the U.S. Open Straight Pool Championships. Along with Nick Varner, I'm Bill Incardona. Nick, this tournament started with 32 of the finest straight pool players in the world. The field has dwindled down to just 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a great final, Billy. We just saw a phenomenal match, the last match between Ralf Souquet and Efren Reyes, and Ralph just played one of the nicest 120 ball runs and out I've ever seen. And but this guy from Taiwan, Chin, he is the only undefeated player left in the tournament. He went straight through, winning every match, so it should be just a killer final.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Nick. Not only is he the only undefeated player in the tournament, but he also defeated Souquet. That's the man who gave Souquet his only loss. And he also defeated Reyes. And that was Reyes' only loss until he faced Souquet in the semifinals. So therefore, you know that Min-Wai certainly earned his position here in the finals.
Well, there's no question about that. And Ralph's definitely going to be trying to even up the score here.
And if there's any indication how strongly he's going to play this, I mean, if his last match was any indication how strongly he's going to play this match, I think he's got an excellent chance of defeating Min-Wai. Not to take anything away from Min-Wai, because he's played superbly throughout the week. But how can you play any better than Souquet played against Reyes? It's hard for me to believe that anyone can play any better than that. I mean, let's just look like a textbook 120 and out.
It sure was, Billy. It was beautiful to watch, and it certainly. All we had to say the entire match was perfect, perfect, perfect.
Right. Got kind of sickening, if you will, but it was just so beautiful that you know, we didn't really mind repeating ourselves like that. I mean, he just played really superbly.
Well, his speed was just incredible.
And I think that's really one of the most crucial things you have to have going for you is speed of the cue ball when you play straight pool. 9-ball, you can get away with it because you don't need to be, you know, perfectly positioned playing 9-ball. But straight pool, you got to be on that angle, at the right, you know, at that right area on that angle, mostly all the time in order to drop nicely for the next ball.
Well, Billy, I think that straight pool is the real art form of the game. I think that. You know, it's just a phenomenal game, and it really, you're basically playing the game on a half court, and finesse and precision and accuracy, those are so demanding in this game.
Absolutely. And you made a note of how strong the break is playing straight pool. It's definitely the breaker's disadvantage to break the balls playing straight pool. Not so on this table. A lot of the times when we did matches in this table, the person that was breaking the balls broke them really well. And Chin started out the first break. I mean, he broke them very well. Really, what did he give up? The 5-ball? Can he do anything with this?
Yeah, I think he can play the 5-ball, but I don't know if he can catch the rack, Billy. And you really brought up a valid point because I don't think breaking on this table. Well, maybe it is. Boy, what a nice shot. It didn't look like he had very much except pocketing the 1, but somehow he was able to shorten that angle off the rail and catch the corner ball. And if he can, the key, the early part of the rack and straight pool is getting them open up. He's made a great shot on the 1, and now he needs an angle to spread them out, and he's looking them over pretty close to see if there's any dead ones in there like he got against Efren the first time he pocketed a ball in that match.
Right. And he certainly has picked up where he left off. He left off by running 120 and out, and he's picked up by first pocketing a difficult shot. Now it looks like he's gotten himself in a reasonable line. He might be able to break out something with this angle. It's rather awkward, but it looks like he may be able to do something with it.
I think what I might do here, Billy, is play the 1 and then play the 14 in the upper right-hand corner pocket. I don't think he's off a flat on this 1. I'm not saying he can't get a shot, but it's pretty hard.
Yeah, and what the shot you pointed out certainly has merit if he can reposition the cue ball behind the 14 like so and keep that angle that he needs. I don't think he's attained the correct angle to break open the stack with.
No, I think he's going, in fact, he might even think here if there's no other balls to pocket about maybe playing safe on this ball instead of taking the point.
No, notice
sending him up table possibly. But,
14 ball?
Notice the 10-7. After pocketing the 14, the 10-7, it looks like it may be a decent combination. 7 ball to the corner pocket.
4.
Maybe you're right, Billy, because he's going right up there in the center of the table where he's got to, if it's dead, I think you're right. He's looking, taking dead aim at it.
Now the 10 and 7 are separated. They're about an inch apart from one another. That may cause a little bit of a problem. May deter him. No, he's calling the 7.
Well, he's definitely going to take a pop at it, Billy, but I can agree with you. It kind of looks like it's toward the upper part of the pocket, so if it don't throw, it could jar. Yeah, it did too. So all of a sudden, Chin gets a wonderful opportunity to come to the table. Ralph was only able to put 4 points on the board, and instead of looking at the balls all racked up playing safe, he's looking at a wide open table, and look at that 6 ball for the break shot.
Yeah, this is really ideal. Chin's 29 years old. He lives in Taiwan.
1.
His highest finish, international finish, that is, it was 5th place. You would have thought that a player that plays as well as Chin, at least this week, would have had a higher finish than 5th place, but not so, not internationally. He's won several tournaments in Asia, but none here in our country.
Well, I think after watching him play here, I think that's a record he's going to change. He definitely changed it right here in New York City,
Yeah.
the Big Apple. I tell you what, though, Taiwan, they got a lot of good players there. That's a real hotbed for pool. The growth of the game the last few years internationally, Taiwan. I know when I won the World Championship in December in Alicante, Spain, on the left was a junior champion from Taiwan, and on my right side was a ladies world champion that beat Allison Fisher in the finals. So they're really competitive worldwide, the Taiwanese players.
Well, the Asian players in general have really made their mark on the game, not only in 9 ball, but obviously in straight ball as well. And what is it about the Asian players, Nick, that you know, what do you think attributable to their huge amount of success coming, you know, the Asian players? I mean, do you think they just play more in Asia, or they just are just more committed to the game?
You know, when I was in the Philippines this year, and I'm getting ready to go to Taiwan in about 10 days, and one thing I've noticed over there, I've been to several press conferences over there. When you go over there, they really get dynamite press in their countries when they have a tournament. And one of the things I remember, one of the sports guys said that they like about the billiards so much is that I don't think, well, at least the Philippines, they've never won a gold medal in the Olympics, and they really feel like in this sport it gives them a wonderful opportunity to compete internationally.
Oh, yeah, well, it certainly does.
And we're seeing that right here. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think if this Chin would win this match, I think they get a big bonus from their government, a pretty serious check from the government. They really support the sport strong, the government in Taiwan, and when their players do good internationally.
Well, that's really great, and it's certainly a nice inducement for the players.
I tell you what, this Sardo rack, that's quite a contraption laying up there on the table, isn't it, Billy? But I tell you what, it looks like it works pretty smooth. We just rolls the balls under there and it disappears, and away we go.
And it's a hard time. You would have a hard time bad racking someone with that rack, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? A lot of players accuse one another of bad racking them. Well, with this rack, it's an impossibility. You push them up there, your fingers are away from all the balls. I do believe you press it down, and they fall in place.
And off it comes.
They squeeze all the balls in place. You got that contraption that goes down and squeezes all the balls in place instead of your fingers to maybe possibly manipulate the balls, if you will. I'm not inferring anything, but players have been accused of that in the past. That certainly remedies that problem.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Billy, and he seems to really know what he's doing with that thing, doesn't he?
Well, it looks like
is that the inventor of the rack right there that's using that?
I don't know, but it looks like you have to take some sort of a course in racking with that particular rack.
And Pat Fleming, he just gave Billy and I the office, and he said that yes, and Jerry Forsyth from Pool and Billiard, he just gave us the office. Yes, that is the inventor of the rack.
Yeah, well, I can bet. Then you can definitely bet on it then.
11.
I think the name of the gentleman that invented the rack is Ron Skeeto.
Lou Sardo, Billy.
Lou Sardo
is the inventor.
Another testament to my poor eyesight. Thank you. The Sardo rack. Thank you, Pat. Could have been, like a joint ventures, Sardo and Cedo.
Well, back to the match here, Billy. It looks like Chin has found himself after the break. He's either got a long shot on the 12. He seems to be looking to 11 to see if it's a dead kiss, which that would be nice if that goes, huh? That'll open him up pretty good, and he's going for it. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Why don't you inform the people out there, when two balls are frozen like that, how are you be able to determine whether or not that's a dead kiss or not, Nick?
Boy, Billy, you're getting into the physics here, and but when you draw a line through the center of both balls, and then you draw a perpendicular line where they intersect, if that ball is lined up in the pocket, that ball goes if you hit it with a little bit above center on the cue ball. Now, if you hit it a little below the center, sometime it will throw on the high side of the pocket. In this kind of competition, you don't want to make any mistake on where that tangent line is.
Well, then at least you have some control over that particular type of a shot. Maybe it's not, perfectly positioned to go, but depending on how you cue the cue ball, you can change the direction of the object ball somewhat.
Yeah, sometimes, say on that shot, he just shot on 11. If it would be lined up, Billy, toward that lower point, well, if you hit it a little below center, you could throw it toward the center of the pocket.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like you don't know or something.
15 ball.
Well, I mean, that shot does come up in the game you love, one pocket.
Well, actually, I was just playing position, Nick, to get a little better game off of you, because the last several times we played, I didn't really fare that well.
Listen, Billy, would you do me one favor and take off tonight and not work tonight?
All right, I'll do you that favor. I apologize.
19.
In the meantime, Min-Wai Chin is really doing his work out there on the table. He's on a run of 19. And he does have a break ball in the 9. Nice lead-up ball to 13. He looks, I think the 7 ball is a nice lead ball to the 13. He should play 6, 4, 7, 13.
I agree 100%. And I tell you what, the way he's handled this rack, Billy, he's showing us a little bit why he happens to be playing in this final, and also why he's undefeated.
Yeah, that error that Souquet made in the first rack could turn out to be quite costly.
Yes, it could be. Chin may charge him real good. And one thing I've noticed during this tournament, that this particular table is the one that they film all the ACCUSTATS videos on, and I've noticed there's been a lot more high runs on this table than the other tables, Billy, so you really got to be unhappy you're always unhappy in straight pool when you have to sit in your chair or 9-ball, whatever game you're playing, but in this game, and on this particular table, there's been some really big runs on this table.
I think that could be accredited to the lights. They dry out the balls, and when the balls are dry and the table is dry, they open up much easier. So therefore, you don't have to be a master technician to run balls, because you go into the stack, the balls open up nicely. Min-Wai Chin found the trail to this finals not all that difficult in terms of length of the number of matches he had to play. He only had to play 5 matches. He defeated all quality players, by the way. Ortmann 150 to 85, Reyes 150 to 40, Robles 150 to 26, Engert 150 to 33, and Souquet 150 to 60. So in his last 3 matches, the highest number of balls his opponent got was 60.
Incredible, because look at that list of players, Billy. I mean, that's a serious list of champions there. He definitely didn't have an easy road to the finals, did he?
No, he didn't. And not only didn't he have an easy road to the finals, but he handled it. He handled all of his opponents quite easily.
Okay. He's found himself. I'm not sure he's as much of a shot here, Billy. He missed the meat of the stack there. He went forward a little instead of drawing in more toward the meat of the stack, and he's in a kind of a I don't think he can hit anything but the 7 if he's going to pocket one.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely in a jam right here. He can't hit the 10. He can't hit the 5. And if he can't hit either of those two balls, certainly there is an offensive shot out there. He was looking to see if he could stretch over the table and possibly spin the 7 in, but I don't. That's a very low percentage shot.
Well, the difficulty there, the 7 is so thin.
Well,
and,
there he goes.
Boy, he's going to spin it in. Man, he looks pretty comfortable, Billy. I think he's going to make this ball. Oh, no, he didn't. He hit it way thin, and that cue ball may even go in the pocket, and he'll be on the foul.
Score 26 points for Mr. Chin. And
I think he got just a hair careless. I think he should have looked at that break shot a little more, because he really left quite a few balls there together. I think he could have got some more of those apart if he would have. I think he let the cue ball go forward a little too much on him there and missed the meat of the stack.
Souquet steps back to the table. After erroring in rack number 1, Chin came back and he ran only 25 balls. That's not a lot of balls off of an error with an open shot like that, with an open rack. So therefore, I'm certainly sure Souquet's kind of happy with the results.
Oh, he's got to be real happy, because this is the same guy that Dick Lane run. I think Ralph had 26 when they played in the winners bracket, and then Dick Lane hit him with 98, and Dick Lane ended up only getting to 108. I mean, Ralph just he just closed the door in a hurry. So it'll be interesting. We watched such a great performance by Ralf Souquet earlier. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to show us a repeat of that, Billy.
That's going to be hard to show us a repeat performance of his match against Reyes.
Yeah, that's...
2.
You know, I met a friend of mine, Jerry Forsyth, Billy, about a year and a half, where I got to know him a little bit, and one day I just thought I'd get his attention. He was playing in Steve Meserek Senior Tour, and I said, "What'd you do before you started playing pool professionally?" And he said, "Should I hit you over the head now or later?"
3.
So you didn't ask him any more of those questions, did you, Nick?
No, but I got his attention.
and he got yours as well.
14.
Oh, yeah. Well, he might have a little bit of a problem. He's going to probably, well, I thought he was going to drop down for the 10 on the side and maybe, well, how's he going to open up the balls there, Nick?
Well, if he was about, well, I don't know. I guess he's going to come across for, well, looks like he might do it right here, but I would come across, I think, for the,
5.
Yeah, he sure did, and he hit him real nice.
Well, that's where he had to hit, actually. He had to hit the top of the cluster there to get a decent breakout. He's playing very well. Looks like, well, other than obviously the missed combination in the first rack, but that was just I think more of a bad judgment than execution.
10 ball.
Well, that was one of those borderline shots where you're almost afraid to leave it for your opponent, and it just didn't quite throw in, and he didn't have to pay much of a penalty for that, Billy. 25 points. He's got to be feeling pretty good out there that only cost him 25, missing that throw shot. And
I'd venture to say that
7.
if a player steps to the table the caliber of Chin or Souquet to an open rack on the table, I think that they're going to put down an average of 50 balls at least, because a lot of times they're going to run 100, 100 and a quarter. Sometimes they're going to run 20 or 30, but I think it's going to average out to 50. 25, only 25, I would think that you're pretty fortunate. You know.
What I always think when I'm playing this game, if I can get out in a couple, 2 or 3 shooting innings, which if it's 3, that kind of gets to your 50 ball average, I'm going to win probably 80% of my games, or 90. I'm not going to lose too many if I can get out with that number of shooting innings, and it kind of goes right along with what you're saying, that they figure to run at least 50 every time they come to the table on the average with an open table.
Souquet just manufactured the break ball and the 4 ball after playing that nifty little billiard, pushing the 4 on the other side of the rack.
10.
Looks like he's going to possibly shoot to 15, repositioning the cue ball somewhere in the center of the table, and look to go around the 4 for position for the break ball.
15 ball?
Yeah, he's going to, what Billy's talking about, he's going to try to position the cue ball up in this area. And then Billy says that what he's going to do is play this 1 in this pocket and swing around the 2 this way. And I love this cue ball, Billy, when it's like that.
Now notice when the cue ball goes around the 4, how long he's in line. Now he's in line now, and he would have been in line another 4 or 5 rotations of the cue ball if that's what it had to take. If he hit it too hard, he still would have been in line. So that's why that particular route to the break ball, you know, is a real good one to use if it's available.
Yeah, it's real hard to get a tough break shot on that route you take there. That's one of my favorite routes in the game, is that 2-rail around the break shot, because like you say, it's hard to mess that one up. It's almost foolproof.
Right. So it looks like Min-Wai has 25 balls, but he is on a foul. Souquet has 16 balls at the table with a nice break shot on the 4.
Yeah, and if Souquet can keep from missing a ball, that'll come in handy if he gets stuck on a shot after the break.
Right.
One thing I noticed Ralph really does, he really seems to really bear down on this break shot, Billy. I've noticed it when he was playing Efren. He really looks precisely at where that cue ball is going to hit the rack. He does it every time. And I think what that gives him a lot of information on how low or how high to hit the cue ball and where he wants to hit the rack. And I think it helps him.
13.
Well, he's getting up a little high here, but I think that's what he's trying to avoid, is losing control of the cue ball.
Obviously, he must practice breaking the balls because he's very meticulous, like you say. You know, taking a look over the rack, find out what ball he needs to hit, because obviously he went to school on it and he knows what ball he should hit, you know, from different positions. So that's what he's done. He's probably practiced breaking the balls for many hours, and it certainly has paid off.
Okay, now we watched him last match. Now he's got a difficult shot here on the 13 to continue his run, and let's see how he hits it. He hit everything dead center the last match, and boy, he missed out a ways, didn't he?
Well, yes, he did. Now, I don't know if I agree with how he shot that shot by rolling it softly like that. Once you have a difficult shot that carries that much distance, I think you got to put a little more velocity into the shot. In rolling it, I think you put your fate in the roll, the trueness of the table, and also it's more difficult to hit it accurately when you roll it like that.
I agree with you, because one of the shots that I dislike as much as any is that softer speed shot. I kind of like to pound it in the hole because it seems like my stroke's more accurate that way.
Well, I think it's definitely more accurate, and also you don't really have to put your faith in the roll of the table as well.
2.
But that shows you how complex this game is. I mean,
15 ball?
you know, you had to play the same shot so many ways and stuff. It just shows you how tough it is, and it shows you how important the decision-making part of the game really is, because if he'd shot that firm, he might still be at the table, Billy.
Well, if he would have shot it firm, let's put it this way, he would have had a better chance of still being at the table for sure. I've always shot shots that carry that degree of difficulty a little firmer, because I just seem to feel that I'm more accurate with that type of a stroke. But of course, you know, in the preceding match when he played Reyes, he had a couple difficult shots that he rolled nice and softly into the pocket. And both you and I were really impressed with his ability to do that.
6.
Yeah, for me, that's the toughest shot in the game, is that soft roll. That's one I don't particularly like that shot, and you're right. He did hit a few really good. And plus, one thing, it's always nice to sit up here. Not only is it one of the best seats in the house, Billy, but
7.
I think I could run 150 now from this booth every time.
Well, I've been known to play pretty good up here myself.
Shame we can't take it downstairs, isn't it, to the real table?
Well, I know you're speaking for me, but what about yourself?
So one of these two break shots, you think he's going to take the high ball, the 10, the break shot?
Yeah, I do think he's going to take the 10. The 5's pretty low on the rack. I think he's going to end up using the 10. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think I like the 10. And now, which ball you think he's going to play next here? He just go down for the 1?
Well, he can roll this in and go down for the 1 because the 15 doesn't pass the 5.
10.
5 blocks the pocket for the 15, so he's probably going to play 1, 5, 15, 5 and 15, and maybe in the same pocket.
I think that
One ball.
I think that's a pattern that he's going to end up with.
11. 10 ball.
Well, he's going with the low break shot, and probably because Billy, it's almost foolproof to set up. And I think he's made a good decision here. I think to go with the shot that he knows he's going to end up with a real good angle on the 5. I think that was a good decision he made there.
Well, really, after you explained it, I really can't fault his decision on that particular route to his break ball.
The score is Chin 38, Souquet 17.
And the 5 was almost foolproof in terms of always getting position for the break. It looked like it was really difficult for him not to get a good angle on the 5, being so close to the rack.
Well, basically got to stop the last 2 balls. 10 stop for the 10 in the side, or 15.
You know, Min-Wai Chin has only been playing pool for 12 years. He's 29 years old. He started playing when he was 17 years old. And the reason he opted to play in this tournament is because his father lives in New Jersey. Had his father not been living in New Jersey, he probably wouldn't have been here. And maybe later on we'll be able to see his father in the crowd, and we'll put the camera on him and we'll point him out.
Well, it's got to be a pretty thrilling experience for him to be playing in the finals of the U.S. Open in front of his father. That's got to be a major high for anybody.
Notice how emotionless he is in terms of his expression. He doesn't really show any emotion at all. You know, even when he misses, he doesn't show any emotion. He just walks away slowly. Doesn't show any facial expression. Keeps the same look all the time. It's much easier to deal with adversity. You can keep yourself composed. Souquet getting another opportunity a little sooner than he expected.
Boy, he's got a major choice here. What do you do here, Billy? You could cut that 7 to the ball hanging up and try to open him up, or you could play the ball in the corner and go into the stack.
I kind of like your first option, 7 to the 4. If you go into the stack, the cue ball may end up table somewhere.
Yeah.
I kind of like your first option, going 7 ball, you know, the combination. Obviously, Souquet doesn't see it that way, and he's opting probably to break the balls off of the 4.
2.
Cue ball went up table like I thought there was a possibility that it might. Now we'll find out if he still has the accuracy that he had in the set against Reyes. I mean, he rolled the 13, so therefore I'm not going to charge him with an error there because of the difficulty of the shot. He should be able to pocket the 14 because this is something that he's a little bit closer to. This ball is a little closer to, so and he should hit it with a little better stroke. He's off the cushion. Let's see how well he does with it.
What do you? Where do you go in the 14 here, Billy? Do you draw over and try to get maybe a break shot off the 8, or do you play for the 13-1, that combination? It'll be interesting what choice Ralf makes here.
Looks like he has a natural route to bypass the 8 like he's done. Now if the 13-1 is available, he may shoot that. He could cut the 8 in the side, but what kind of a result would that give him in terms of cue ball? Will he be able to hit the stack from the angle that he has?
I think so if he uses low English, but what he would really like to do is split that 10-6. That would probably be the best way to hit those as far as spreading them out and be sure you don't lose the cue ball anywhere in the pocket. And he's looking at it, but he seems like, I think he's struggling being able to hit in that area. I think he's maybe hitting the 10 on the left side, which takes him down table.
And toward that corner pocket, which he really can't afford to take the gamble if that's the case. He doesn't want to end up in that corner pocket and lose his inning with a scratch.
Well, it looks like he's going to have to play that 13-1 to break him out. And he wants that angle where he has to cut that 13, Billy, a little bit to the left so the cue ball goes to the right and spreads out those 6-7 balls. No, he's elected to do something different. Of course, 11-1's laying pretty good, too. And the 6, I guess maybe the 6 goes.
It looks like the 6 is frozen to the 9. He cannot make the 6 without playing the billiard. The carom off the 9. But it looks like it's not laying right for that shot. It looks like it's laying low, so he's opting to go into the balls. He doesn't want the 1 to fall.
No, he doesn't.
No. If the 13 passes the 3, maybe he'll play position to break the balls off the 13. And he can also go right into the balls off the 1 if he feels like that's a viable shot.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a tough position shot, the 1 to the 13. If he can get pretty full on the 13, I like that break shot the best. But boy, if you get too high on that, then he's going to have to break him off the 11. And this is he decided to go right at him right away, and I can't
blame him.
No, not when they come out like this, especially if the 9 goes by the 3.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said playing position for the 13 from that position wasn't all that easy. He may have been able to do it a high percentage of the time, but not a high percentage of the time as he did breaking up the balls. By breaking up the balls off the 1, he probably could do that 95 to 100% of the time, getting a good shot into 13, maybe 80% of the time. He factored everything in and possibly made his decision off of those facts.
And it's amazing how important those decisions are because, a lot of players could probably be in this final if they could just take one decision, bad decision turned out bad for them. If they could just take one decision in this tournament back, there's a lot of other players that might have found their way to this final, you know.
Something, I think you have a point there, Nick. Next time I play you, if I make a mistake, I have the opportunity then to go back one shot and shoot another shot.
13 ball?
No problem, Billy. No problem.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad spot, right?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not talking about 9 ball. I'm talking about a long game like 1 pocket.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Playing them all in 1 pocket. Like you need an edge or something.
Well, you and I both know, along with the world, that I definitely need more than an edge. In the meantime, Souquet has positioned the cue ball pretty much ideally on the 3 to drop nicely for the 10.
But speed control is real critical here. Nice. Oh, that's nice. I tell you what, I've got where I really prefer in straight pool. I like this angle he has, Billy, where
13 balls. The score is Chin 39, Souquet 30.
I like that angle where you go past the parallel angle. I've got where I like that, where you're hitting most of your break shots with low and pulling the cue ball back up above the stack. It seems like it takes almost all the scratches out of the game. The only thing on the negative side is once in a while you will maybe draw it to the end rail, but it seems like it really puts you in a real controlling position of the game.
You don't have to be concerned about getting that kiss off that other ball, pushing you into a pocket by going forward.
Now this one is a little different because he's going to be hitting the top of the stack. I was relating more to the one where you hit the side of the stack. I mean, he's going to be hitting that 1 ball on top of the rack.
He wants to punch this over, and correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to punch this over, but not with the speed to go cross-eye with the cue ball.
Right. This one real scratch really comes into play. And oh, wow, look at this. He's really got a choice here. He could... think he'll maybe draw up and break him again off the 8 or?
Well, he's so close to the 2 ball, he shouldn't have any problem with accuracy. So therefore, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go into the balls off the 2. But the way he's addressing the table suggests to me that he's going to go and play position on the 8, like you mentioned.
Well, I think if he hits it hard on the 2, I think he'll run into the 8 and kill a lot of the power of the cue ball and may not get a good spread. I think that he's making a good choice here because now he can, if he splits that 112 there, he's going right into the meat of the stack, and he should get a nice spread.
8 ball.
And the other choice is he can hit the top side of the 1 and keep it on top.
It looks like he's got the 12, Nick.
Yes, he does.
Really didn't get the action off of that break that I thought he would get. But
well, he used low English. I kind of expected him to use follow English there, and I think that might have the difference with the number of balls that went out. This is one thing about this straight pool. A big part of the knowledge of the game is whether a lot of times you use low on the cue ball or you use follow on the cue ball on the break shots, and sometimes it's hard to figure it out.
Well, stuff like that's going a little bit over my head, Nick. Maybe one word together alone you can explain that to me, the difference in hitting the stack with low or follow, you know, and what type of action to expect. But Souquet has been breaking the balls extremely well throughout the tournament, and I think that's one of the reasons, that's one of the key ingredients in his game that's allowed him to get to this position, because of his ability to open up the balls not only nicely but to control the cue ball off of the break.
18.
Well, he's got a shot on the 6 or the 7 on the side, which is a very difficult shot. I look for him to play the 6 here, Nick, but he's going to have to stroke it because he doesn't want to end up stuck to the 3.
Yeah, there's both of these are tough shots here, and I think he will play the 6 and probably try to come up for the maybe the 7 ball. I wouldn't want to hit the stack here if I could help it.
19.
Well, he did hit it, but he got plenty of shots.
He's got the 3 in the upper right-hand corner. He's got the 7 in the side, which plays much easier than the 3 in the upper right-hand corner. He also has a possible 4-13 combination, which he's trying to decide whether or not that's even available. The 9 blocks the pocket for the 11, so if he plays the 7, he's going to have to play position for another ball, obviously.
He may go up and get the 1 after the 7. No, he's going to wait.
Looks like he's going to either shoot the 3. Most likely he's going to clear the pocket, shooting the 9. The 15 also goes in that lower left-hand corner.
9 ball.
So therefore, he may play position for that ball.
I think he'll play position for the 13 or 15.
Yeah, 13. After the 15 is gone, that will open up the pocket for the 14 and possibly even the 4 if it passes the 14. But for sure, it'll open up the pocket for the 14 in the lower right-hand corner.
Well, I think he can get to that 15, and then he'll have a shot on that 15-4, and then depends on his angle. Looks like he's going forward here.
22.
He didn't want to do that.
Caught that outside point there, Billy, which slowed him down, and he's got a little bit of a tough shot. He's going to have to shoot that 11 in the side, and he'd like to be a foot closer to this one.
Yeah, he missed a shot similar to this shot a couple matches ago. Ooh, and he missed another one. Missed another one, and what you said was true. He didn't want to hit that point. It slowed the cue ball down that time, leaving him too much distance, and consequently missing the 3 in the side.
14 ball. 1.
Boy, I like this 15 for a break shot, Billy. I think you got a lot of choices and pattern plays here, but I like 11. And if I can, I don't think he can from this angle. We probably have to go 3-1, but I would have loved to go 1 in that left corner and then play position on that 3.
I think he can go 1-3.
You think he can?
Yeah, he can draw the ball in between the 3 and the 1. Yeah.
Oh, you're right, Billy.
3.
I thought he was too straight, but I love this setup for the break
Yeah, well,
shot. What can go wrong here?
Now, this is really ideal.
One thing you'll really notice in a match like this when the players are really playing great straight pool is they do everything in their power to cut down the distance that cue ball has to go from one ball to the next for position. They like that foot, maybe 2 feet. They like to stay away from that 7-8 foot position shot.
Well, it's so much easier to judge the speed of the cue ball when you only have to travel a couple of feet opposed to 5 and 6 feet. You know, if you get 2 players playing and one's taking a longer route for his next ball, you can bet that eventually the player that takes the longer route will end up losing the match. Yeah, I like to travel the cue ball maybe 2 to 3 feet, but of course I don't have the ability to do that consistently. That's my problem. But when you get a player out there, you watch him play, and it looks like he's not really doing much, he's doing a lot. A pretty even match, 39 for Souquet, 44 for Chin.
6.
Well, it looks like he's going to end up with a very difficult shot on the 8, and that's about it, Nick. Maybe the 3 if he can hit the edge of the 3. I don't know if he can. It looks like he can.
I think I'd play the 3 here. It's a little bit thin, but I think it's a little easier than the 8 ball is. And
7.
This isn't really that good, the 2 ball right now. I mean, if he's looking to play position, what is he going to do with it? Now he's looking to play the 8. He wants to.
I think this is a real good choice here. I don't like the 2. I think he's really making a nice choice here.
Yeah, the 2 ball was a difficult ball to play position off of, considering the angle that he had into it. Now he can do pretty much what he wants with the cue ball from the angle that's offered here.
Yeah, that really, I think, made it a lot easier. But he does have to be careful here because, well, that's a nice angle. That was good speed control because now he should be able to really spread those balls out. Or if he can hit that 9, he should loosen them up pretty good. Oh, real nice. That came apart real nice, didn't he?
He's going to have to shoot over the 4 if he wants to pocket the 14 on the side. I do believe the 5 and the 10 are lined up reasonably well for that corner pocket in case he has to play that combination later on. But in the event that the 5 and 10 aren't lined up, the 9 ball is conveniently located next to the 5 to break loose the 5 from the 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Evidently, that 10 must be blocking a little the hole because he's a little tentative when playing this 9 Billy. So that 10, it must be blocking a little the hole where he's got to be sure he don't drive this 9 into that 10 ball. He wants to be sure to. Well, he went with the 10 first, and that was probably a much better play.
Now he has a pocket for the 9.
9 ball.
Well, I like his choices here. He's got 3 pretty good break shots there, 4, 13, 12. Which one of those 3 do you like the best, Bill?
I kind of like the 4. I think he's going to play the 7 now, possibly, and play position for the 13 to get that out of there, because that's a problem ball.
Yeah, those 2 they're not much help.
No, he's going to get the 13 now. Now he's fallen too thin on the 13, but he does have a shot in the 4 on the side, Nick. It's very interesting to see whether or not he chooses to save the 13 simply because he has a shot for the 4 on the side, and he knows sooner or later he's going to have to shoot either the 4 or the 13. Maybe now's the time to shoot the 4 on the side, Nick.
Yeah, that's a choice he has to make, and but he is now that he's playing the 7, he's going to have to get position for that one of those 2 balls at 4-13, and maybe he can do it right here.
14 ball.
Well, he can force the cue ball to the left and then play position for the 13 in the lower left-hand corner, but he's got to pick up some speed here because it looks like he's a little sluggish with the cue ball.
Yeah, he's come up short the last couple of times on position, and I think now he's going to have to cut the 13 in and maybe have to break him off the 6 or the 4, depending where the 4 goes.
He's probably wishing that he would have shot the 4 on the side now. Then he wouldn't have had this problem.
Yeah.
13 ball.
That's what I was talking about. He had position for the 4 on the side, even though the 4 may have been a little bit better to break the balls with.
17.
I don't think it was a fair trade-off to leave it there and try to work his way around the rack because he didn't have many opportunities left to deal with it.
4 ball.
Well, this is one thing we haven't seen much of. We saw Efren Reyes in some of his matches. I saw him where he liked that. A few times he opted for that break shot where you cut the ball on the side and go 2 rails behind the stack. But I haven't seen one of these yet in the last few matches where they play it in the side and try. They're going to have to either hit the top of the stack or go behind the rack. This is going to be a little different break shot than we've seen in the last couple of matches.
And it looks like that he's going to have. Well, I don't know.
He lost his speed a little bit there.
He's lost his market on the break.
He sure has. Can he cut that in the side and go 2 rails to the right?
Well, from my vantage point, Nick, it seems like if he's able to cut the 6 in the side, he's not going to be able to hit the long rail. It's going to have to hit it too thin to do that. So it looks like, if I see it correctly, he's definitely lost his market. But what he can do is he can play the 6 in the corner and then go 2 cushions with the cue ball. When that shot plays very difficult because of the small pocket that he has to shoot into.
Yeah, when he hits it that hard to play it in the corner for the cue ball to have any force when it comes around 2 rails, he's really got to fire it in. I think he's going to cut. Looks like he's looking at cutting the 6 on the side and trying to miss the corner pocket over here and coming around hitting the back of the stack. Hard one to control because you got to hit this 6 ball so thin.
I don't think he can hit the side cushion if he cuts it in the side.
You think that he has to hit the end rail, huh?
Yeah, I think
or
he's
the corner pocket.
Yeah, I think he's going to hit that corner pocket. I think the only way he can break the balls is, hit it into the corner pocket with a high ball using a little bit of right-hand English in hopes that he hits it accurately enough to put it down. It's not going to be an easy shot. He hit it very nice, breaking out the 2 balls, but maybe that's not enough. Is the 15 out far enough for him to do some damage if he's able to put down the 7?
Well, from this angle, I think he's going to the right with the cue ball if he plays the 7 in the upper right corner pocket. And I don't know. It looks like if he cuts it in the side, he's going too much to the left rail over there. He's kind of in a tough position here.
7 ball.
He's playing the 7, and looks like he played it in the side. This is a ooh.
Even if the 15 passes the 8 into the corner pocket, the angle that he's left himself with, Nick, certainly doesn't look like it's a type of an angle that he could do any damage with in terms of breaking the balls open. So he's going to have to look elsewhere if he wants to continue offensively.
Yeah, I think this is, there's just no break shot here if you pocket the 15, because I'm certainly not going to try to cut it in that pocket where he's standing. He's looking at maybe a combination. Playing the 15 and maybe he's coming around for that 1-5 kiss off the 8.
That shot is very seldom played by all the top players. Sometimes it's available, but it's such a difficult shot to determine whether or not it's on or not. Well, he missed the 15 ball. Souquet now has the opportunity to get back to the table with some sort of an offensive plan now, because of the 15 ball hanging into the corner pocket. Certainly looks like a ball that they can open up the balls with, providing they can put down the 1, that is.
The easiest place for him, the easiest shot for him to play here is play the 1, draw back, but down to the end rail that the 15 is on. But the only thing I don't like about that, Billy, is I don't like that coming off that long rail for the break, because it's hard to control the cue ball.
1 ball.
1 ball, the cue ball here and here. But when you come off of here, the cue ball may end up down here.
Yeah, I don't like
That's
that
the
so
problem.
much. But I don't think he had much choice. I think this is the way he had to play it. And also, if he hits his 15 a little too thick, he'll miss the entire rack.
He would have been better off if the cue ball was positioned somewhere in this area, which would have given him a bigger target. Because of the cue ball being down here, he has hit the 15 ball much thinner. And it's going to be more difficult to hit the rack, because this is not really an easy hit.
And you can scratch. If you hit underneath this 3, you could scratch in the pocket right where he's standing. So this one is not without danger, but boy, sure. Well, if he gets a shot on something, he's going to maybe have to shoot the 2 ball here, or 4 ball, I'm sorry.
Maybe does the 14 pass?
I don't think it passes. He's looking at it. Well, he's still looking at it, so maybe it must be, but I think he'll go for the 4. If the 14's that tight, I wouldn't.
4 ball.
At least you know if you hit the 4 good, it goes. If you hit the 14, you're liable to hit in the center of the hole and tip the 5.
Exactly. And in regard to this break ball, the 15, he hit that break shot extremely well. The execution on that shot was just about perfect. He didn't really get rewarded with the shot he deserved off of that, but nevertheless, he made the 4 ball, and he's on his way again.
Yeah, what he's probably thinking, he's got 2 balls there, the 2 and the 14, to try to spread those other 4 balls out with.
4.
Or he can just bounce off the end rail and hit the 8 or 9 and spread them out here if he likes.
He may do that because I think that he'll be able to manufacture a break shot going into the balls from this angle. Notice how the balls open up now. It gives him, more opportunity to end up with a break ball. Now he has 2 or 3 balls that he could use for the break ball.
Yeah, I think one of his major concerns here is going to be the 10 ball, and he's looking at it pretty hard right now. It's kind of in not an ideal position, so he's concerned with getting that ball out of there.
3 ball.
The 10 ball really in a very, very difficult position on the table.
6.
Close to the rail and not far enough from that rail for him to pocket it in the side. And anytime a ball is positioned like the 10 ball is, you got problems. He's probably going to get to it off the 8. But even if he does get to it off the 8, what's his next shot going to be?
Yeah, I think he needs to play it before he makes the 8.
How about playing the 13 off of the 10? Now maybe he's looking to do that.
You might be right. He does have the perfect angle if 10's close enough to the pocket to pocket that ball. Oh, that's a great shot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to pull the trigger on that type of a shot because, it's not guaranteed to go all the time. But you have to have the courage sometimes to pull the trigger. That time he did, and he got rewarded for it.
Well, sometimes it's right on that borderline where you just don't know if it's going to clear that point.
I know. Yeah, that has certainly deterred me many times from shooting that shot.
9.
This is interesting. Would you use the 10 ball to play position for the break ball?
I think he's elected to do something different. He's either going to play for the 10 now or the 8 and go up for the 10. But I like playing this 8 first myself and then playing position either for the 10 or the 9. I kind of like getting the 9 and then going up table because he's got the 14's in an area that's easy to play position. It's not in a spot. Well, I certainly can't fault that either. Because now he can go 2 rails and get that angle you were talking about earlier, Billy, where he goes around the break ball, and I love that setup angle.
I know you do. But in going back to the last shot that he had, I think it's just a matter of preference whether to play position for the 9 or the 10 in that shot. I thought it was a real close proposition.
9 ball.
Well, I think he made the right choice after looking it over. I kind of like the choice he made better than playing the 9 first.
And we'll wait for the results, and we'll be able to tell you. It's much plainer now, I would imagine, that playing the route that he chose was probably the right way to do it, at least in this instance.
Souquet is on a run of 12. He will be shooting the 14 ball.
Okay, Billy, the score.
51, Chin 60.
The score is Chin 60 and Souquet 51. He's on a run of 12, and both players they've had a few tries at the table so far. Neither one's been able to put a lot of points on the board, Billy.
That's true, and I think that's possibly because it's the finals. Both players seem to be a little bit nervous, maybe, and I think that now that both players have settled in somewhat, I think we're going to see, a much better brand of straight pull out there from this point on.
I'll tell you what, he's got to bear down on this 14. He would have liked to be a few inches to the right there. He's cutting this 14 back a little bit, and I think here the choice you have to make, do you hit a little softer or do you hit a little harder? Some players feel more comfortable hitting it harder. I think I'd hit this toward a little softer, like a medium speed. I don't think I'd pound this one in because it's so thin, it's easy to overcut the ball.
And not only that, it's thin enough where, even if you do hit it soft, you're still going to get good action.
And even Ralph had to take the double take. He came up off of it, and now he's aiming again. So this is a hard shot.
And he hit it soft.
13.
He hit it softly. He did get good action. Notice how nicely the ball's opened up on the other side of the table. Certainly a very workable position.
I don't like playing the 9-6 here because if it rose up around that 4, you may have trouble getting a shot. I kind of like playing the 15 first.
What about if he plays the 9-6 with a little speed and plays position for the 3, maybe?
Well, that would, I think, be a lot better than rolling it.
Yeah, if you roll it, you're really putting too much faith in that one ball, the 9 ball, to control it. And I don't think that's advisable.
I'd have to think here about going between that 5 and 11 and breaking them out.
Yeah, that certainly wouldn't have been a bad option, considering that the 9's blocking the pocket for the 3, and that looks like a nice break shot had the 9 not be, if the 9 wasn't there. So therefore, breaking him at that moment was probably a pretty good option.
And I tell you what, the way these are laying, I think that in order to break them, that may be what he has to do. He's eventually, well, maybe not, but he's going to the other side is what he's going to do. But he's found himself jacked up a little bit over this 2 ball where he's got a long stretch.
Yeah.
Might even have to use the bridge, I don't know.
Well, I think that's deterred him enough now to where he's going to shoot another ball other than the 13. Had the cue ball not been positioned over the 2, I think invariably he would have shot the 13, playing position for the 9, and that would have given him many more options. But since he's elevating and stretching, that seems like it's a lot of problems to deal with. Let's see, he seems like he's going to go ahead and shoot now. And he didn't hit it with the speed that he wanted to hit it with, and he didn't hit it with the stroke that he wanted to hit it with because of that very reason. And now he's found himself over the 10 ball in the middle of the rack. And now he's going to start struggling because from this position on, it looks like it's just going to be a struggle position.
Well, when he plays this 3, if he runs into that 7, anything could happen, and he can't he's in a little bit of a tight spot here because if he runs into that 7, he could get froze on something here, and he really can't dig down into the cue ball because he's liable to foul on the 10 here.
Yeah, he's definitely.
And he's going opposite-handed with this. And,
I'll tell you what, from the position that he was in, to walk away in this position, he certainly has done a good job.
Yes, I think he did. That's a tough shot to do what he did there. It was just as easy to run into the center of that 7, and he might not have a shot, Billy. He caught the edge of the left edge of that 7, which allowed him to get away from there.
And it was imperative for him to do that. Well, he seemed to have worked his way out of that jam, but still the balls are grouped tightly around the foot spot. I do believe the 7 goes in the lower right-hand corner for sure. I don't know if the 11 passes. He's going to shoot the 9 to gain a position for either the 7 or the 11. Let's see which one it's going to be.
Well, he's going to shoot the 11 if he has that option.
He would have liked to have fallen down table another 1.5 inches or so, so he would have then knocked the 8 over to a possible break position, and then he would have had the 7 for an out ball. I don't think he has the angle to knock the 8 over from here, Nick.
He may not have.
Well, he did have the angle to do it. Matter of fact, he could have done it easily, considering how quickly the 8 departed from the position it was at.
I tell you what, a way I'd like to end up here is 8 and 12. I'd like to play the 8 last and then play the 12 because I'd like to be pretty close to where that 8 ball is to break, and that's one of the things I always use. Sometime I'll take a little worse break shot if it's a lot safer to set up on.
The only problem with that is you really don't have a good lead ball to the 8, so you may have to end up playing the 8 in the corner.
22.
He's going to do something entirely different. He was looking maybe to break him off the 10, or he could possibly break him off the 1, or he may still do it off the 12.
23.
No, he's not going to use the 12 at all.
He's going to, well, I'd be surprised to see him not use the 12. The 1 seems very high.
Yeah, well, he's almost got to cut it in the side if he uses it. But it looks like he's going to go 5-1 and break off the 10. But he's got options here. No, he's playing the 10. Oh, that's great. That's
well, who expected him to do that? You know, here we are trying to figure out what does he have in mind. What is he doing? My preference was breaking them with the 10 ball, as I believe yours was also. I don't know what he had in mind. He couldn't have possibly had in mind that he was going to manufacture the break ball in the fashion that he did.
Well, I think he was looking around and.
Well, he's
that sure was a nice shot. He let the cue ball playing it opposite-handed. He got it a little, lost the speed just a little bit, Billy.
Yeah, it looks like he's allowed the cue ball to get away from him a little bit here, and he doesn't really have an ideal angle for this break ball. Matter of fact, it's something that he's probably going to have to force. And he's not going to be able to knock that many balls free here, unless he runs the risk of scratching if he happens to try to do too much with this break shot.
I think the main thing here, he's going to have to really hit this one hard.
Oh, he's going to go back then. He's going to draw this break shot. Looks like if he hits it hard, he's going to have to draw it.
Yeah, I can't tell. Well, now I can see.
He's going to probably hit it with a center ball then and try to hit the top of the 12.
Yeah, I think I would hit it just slightly below center and just pound it in and hope I get a shot. Hope it maybe comes just a little above a rack. Depends on where he hits a 12. If he hits on the top side of the 12, then he's going to end up on top. But if he hits underneath the 12, he could stick in that general area.
Well, then he should hit it with a softer stroke then.
You definitely got to hit this hard enough and hope something gets away from it.
And he did, and he did exactly what you said he might do. Hit the side of the 12 and get stuck in that general area, and that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, he needed to either hit the 12 higher or lower because he just didn't quite get away. And most of that was due to he was just really flat on that break shot, just too close to straight in.
You know, sometimes when you shoot opposite hand, you have the accuracy that you need, but the speed of the cue ball then becomes a problem as well. That time, he really couldn't control the speed of the cue ball as well because he did shoot the lead ball to the break ball opposite hand, and he had a stretch on top of that, which actually led him. Well, he's playing something here, Nick. He's playing the 6, possibly off the 15.
Wow, what a shot that is. I thought he was kicking it to 7.
No, he's playing safe.
He's playing safe.
He played safe.
I think he might have left him a shot on the 15 there.
I don't think he can cut the 15 in, Nick, because he's very close to the 15. Now, I have a better vantage point on that particular shot than you. I'm at the side, and you're looking at it straight forward. And I can tell you right now, he definitely doesn't have the 15 unless he hits the 8 first. He may be able to hit the 8 first and billiard the 15 in. Maybe he can pocket it in that fashion, but he certainly can't cut it in. Now he's looking at the 15-6 combination.
Ooh, that's hard. That's real hard, Billy. The 15-6.
No matter what he chooses to do, if he's thinking offensively, that is, it's going to be hard. But no one promised him a rose garden here, Nick, and he's going to probably have to do something special to get out of this trap.
He's got to be a little careful just because he makes this. He's almost got to go forward to get a shot after the 6. Oh, no.
And once again, you know, you're right on the money. Once again, he's got to be a little careful because even if he does put down the 6, there's no guarantee he'll come up with a shot. And it looks like that's exactly what's happened.
I think he's going to have to play the 5, Billy. Boy, what a great shot that was. But I could just tell the way the ball's coming back, it was going to be hard to get a shot. He needed to go forward, but boy, that makes pocketing the 6 even more difficult. And it was hard enough to begin with.
I guess he figured it was a fair trade-off to try to ensure the accuracy of the shot by cueing it the way he did, opposed to trying to play position off of it, and making the shot play even more difficult. At that time, maybe it wasn't because he hasn't come up with another shot, but at least he's still at the table, if that means anything.
Yeah,
11 ball.
11 ball.
No, I don't believe he's playing the 11 ball, is he? Off of the 8. He's playing the 11 off of the 8. Well, I'll tell you what, that was a very...
That's aggressive.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive shot.
That is real aggressive there. I'm not sure.
But
let's see Souquet. How about this shot, Billy? 14, 15, 2, 3, 7. It looks like, I tell you what, it's not laying that bad.
Well, I'll tell you another shot that's not laying that badly either is that he could massé the ball and maybe billiard the 7 in off the 3 because he's got a big ball there with that 3 sticking out like that. But he's
even though this is a 5-ball combination, it's actually not laying too bad. And then, like you say, I know that billiard off the 3, if he can hit the right part of the 3, the 7's gone. No matter where you hit the 3, if it's on the right side.
Right. But with your shot, the 5-ball combination, he's really more sure coming up with another shot after pocketing the ball.
Well, I don't think there's any problem in getting a shot on your shot either. I think here, just which choice do you think you have the best chance to make the 7?
Let's see if he's made the right choice. And he has. And the 2 ball ends up in front of the lower left-hand corner, and he's on his way again.
What?
The crowd really got a kick, if you will, out of that shot. A 5-ball combination. Anytime a player shoots a 5-ball combination, that certainly excites the crowd.
Well, you're not going to see many of those in straight pool.
You're going to see even less than 9-ball.
And especially by a player that's playing in the finals of the U.S. Open Championship.
I'll tell you the truth.
I bet that's probably the first 5-ball combination in this entire tournament.
Well, if you're considering that break shots out of the rack aren't combinations, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of break shots you shoot out of the rack that may be a 5-ball combination break shot, but we really can't treat those as 5-ball combinations because that's unfair. In the meantime, these people here in New York certainly have been treated to a lot of great straight pool this week, Nick.
Oh, the high run's been phenomenal this week. One of the local players from this area that's a great player, Tony Robles, he run 148 and I think 125 or 126. He had 2 huge runs in this tournament. He had a great tournament, and he just thrilled the hometown fans.
Most certainly. So in that regard, the hometown fans were certainly proud of Mr. Robles, which they should have been because he has the high run, as Nick said, 148. The Ralf Souquet has run 126 and out, and in his last match against Reyes, he ran 120 and out. So there's no doubt that the people here in New York they're not going to walk away from this event feeling they got cheated in any way.
No, they've been having a ball, and I'd like to take a time to thank Ronnie Blatt for bringing the BCA U.S. Open Championship back. It's been kind of idle for a few years, and I think the fans in New York have had a great time, and they love this straight pool up here.
You really have to pay respect to Ron Blatt Billiards for really getting behind behind this tournament. It's such a great tournament, and New York is such a great city to have a tournament in, and this one here certainly has proven that that's right on, because the people here really are enthusiasts. They love straight pool, and they're getting treated to some top quality straight pool here in New York this week.
They sure have, and I like what he's doing here, taking this 9 out. coming back for the 15, and he's got a couple choices here. You think he'll go 15, 14, 12, or you think it'll be in reverse, 12, 14?
I think it's going to be 15, 14, 12. I think that the 14 is far enough away from the 13 for him to control it nicely above the 12. But, of course, if he bypasses his mark, which he may have done, then he loses his market on playing natural to the 12. He may have to draw back here.
Well, he may be okay, but he would definitely like to be an inch closer to the
14.
end rail, the bottom end rail. He's going to have to, I think, force this up a little bit.
Right.
11.
It appeared like he didn't have much of a problem, but he wasn't on the line on that ball that he wanted to be on. He forced that shot a little bit, and looks like he's gotten himself back reasonably well.
Yeah, he just got to hit this maybe a hair harder than he wants. So he pounded it in there pretty good.
But he definitely needed to hit it with accuracy, because had he overcut that shot, he would have lost the market on the break ball once again. But that didn't happen. He's got a pretty good shot on the break ball, and he also leads in the match, I believe, by the score of 66 to 61, or is it 78 to 61? I'm not sure.
78 to 61, Billy.
Now, I tell you what, the players have taken a break. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to the inning when Chin was at the table, and I believe he shot this shot behind his back and called the 11 off the 8. And he didn't miss it by much.
That's a little, I think that's just a hair too, I like aggressive, but for me that's a little too much.
Yes, it certainly is aggressive. And for you people out there, Nick, you want to explain the Ralf Souquet had to travel to get to the finals?
Okay, he started out with Earl Strickland, 150 to 31, and then he had a real tough match with Johnny Archer, 150 to 120. Then he defeated another local player. Amazing how many good players there are in this area, huh? He beat Tom Walter, 150 to 112. And I saw the Dick Lane match, and Dick Lane run 98 in this game, and still couldn't win, and that's tough action. And then the only match that Ralph lost in the tournament was to the guy he's playing right now in the finals, Chin, and Chin beat him relatively easily, 150 to 60, and then of course I can't forget this next game, 150 to 39, where it was all Ralf Souquet in that one, and he just 120 and out, and it was just picture perfect.
It certainly was. Souquet played about the best match I've seen in this tournament against Reyes in regard to how nicely he ran the 120 and out on him. All right, what we're going to do, the players have taken their break, and we've described that difficult behind the back shot that Chin tried to execute but failed, and we also described the route to the finals that Souquet traveled. And now we're going to take a break, but we'll be right back. Okay, Ralf Souquet has stepped to the table. He's back off of his break. Obviously, we're back off of our break as well. Souquet on a run of 12. But he leads 78 to 61. He does have a nice break ball in the 13. Let's see what he can do with it.
Yeah, he could possibly really get a nice break here because he's got a really great angle. This is one of the best angles he's had, and if he hits that 12 at all full, they're going to come apart pretty good. If he hits that 2 ball on top full, he's going to get a nice, woo, he stuck. He hit it a little too full from that angle, but he's come up with a good shot on the 8.
Yes, he has. Now, he has the option, Nick, to play the 8 in either the side or the corner. And I'm kind of curious to see which pocket he actually does play the 8 in. But if he plays it in the corner, I think his position for his next ball plays much easier. But if he plays it in the side, I think he's going to have to work a little harder in terms of playing position.
Yeah, I think you made a valid point there, but I think I would go the side here, Billy, and hope I could get that angle where I could play the 7-ball 3 and 7 combo and then swing around the table 2 rails for that break shot or the 4 ball is I think what I would like to do here. But he has to be a little careful because the 3-ball could possibly
block the pocket on the 4 for the 4.
or the 14, just depending on how thin that he hits that 7. It could even come up and get in the way on the 14. But I think that's what I kind of like.
Well, there's no guarantee he's going to be able to control the 3-ball off of this shot. So let's see what happens. Now the 3-ball bounced out far enough for him to be able to pocket the 4 if he chooses to shoot the 4.
And he's got that 11 he can break off of, and it sets up pretty good off the 3. So that may be the choice that he makes. It's a little easier.
Now that I look at the table, Nick, and see the 3 in the 11, the 3-ball is a perfectly positioned ball to lead to the 11. I think invariably he then will shoot the 3, play for the break ball in the 11. Nope, he's opting to go to the 4. This is kind of interesting.
A little more aggressive, but the 14 is a much better shot to break him. It's a much safer shot to break. The 11 is a little dangerous, I think, to break him off of. The way that pocket's not laying real good for the 11, and I think he made a nice choice. And he's obviously feeling pretty comfortable because he tried the harder. It makes this shot a lot better, I think. But a lot of players, sometimes look out now, see the difference, how nice those spread. I mean, just a perfect yield on that break shot. And a lot of times in straight pool, you have to do that. You have to take a little harder shot to get the ideal shot. And sometimes some players, they don't have the confidence to do that, and they end up getting in trouble. But not Ralf Souquet.
Well, there is times when you have to gamble a little bit. Ralf Souquet has the ability and the good common sense to understand that and know when that time is, you know, and I think he's gotten paid off for it.
18.
This boy's he's got really 3 break shots there along the right side of the rack that he could use. He could use the 2, the 10, the 6. So he's really got some nice balls here, and what Chin has to hope at this point of the match, both players been struggling to put a big run on the mat so far, and a lot of times the first one that does put a big run at this stage could go out, Billy.
Well, considering this juncture of the match, 66-70, 83 to 61, if Souquet puts a long run on him, you know, he will definitely either go out or be the tremendous favorite. Pretty much so for Chin as well, because if he puts a long run on Souquet, if Souquet happens to falter in this rack, Chin will have a decisive advantage as well. But the man at the table is Ralf Souquet, and the ball is open nicely, and he's already on a run of 21.
Yeah, if I was sitting in the chair, if I could get to the table before Ralf Souquet got 100 points, I would feel delighted.
Especially when you consider what he did against Reyes in his last match. You know, he just froze him to the chair for 120 balls. You know, I think he's bypassed his mark a little bit on the 6. He probably wanted to shoot the 6 because the 10 is a much better break ball than the 6, wouldn't you think?
He may try to push the 2 over for a break shot here, or he may just try to.
23.
Well, that's a little
high. The 6 is a little low.
So it's going to be interesting which route he decides to go. Break off the 6 or break off the 2. Which one do you like, Billy?
Well, I like breaking off the 6 for this reason. You can correct my way of thinking. Well, obviously he has already. I like breaking off the 6 because it's easier to play position for that ball. That's what I was going to say. But, of course, I've very frequently been wrong with my opinions and, you know, guesses. And that's a perfect word for that, guesses playing straight pool.
Well, you know, this ball's laying in a similar position where we saw in the Efren Reyes match where Ralph got a little too straight in. Now, this time he is on the opposite side, so that makes a big, big difference on setting up on this shot. Last time he had to slide over. This time he's going to be able to swing around. And I look for him to come up with a real good break shot from this 2-rail position.
Well, I really don't, because I think the angle he has is awkward. He's going to have to do something. There's nothing natural about the angle that he's been left with here. I think he's going to have to do something. There's a chance that he will come up in good shape, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him not do well with this shot.
26.
Oh, boy, you called it on the nail, Billy. And he was trying to come one rail there. I'd rather load that up with more right myself and go around it.
I would have also, but that angle also didn't play natural. He had to force it. And whenever you have to force something, it's very difficult to determine where the cue ball is actually going to go.
Yes, it is.
Well,
but
anyway.
I think he'll bank this 2 and try to swing, either draw into the stack or go around the table 2 rails. I think he'll play this 2. Do you think he will?
Well, once the rack is lifted up and the gentleman walks away from the table, I'll give you my opinion on this.
I would play this ball and try to go 2 rails and catch the 15 or the 8. But you got a lot of options. I mean, you can bank the 2, try to get in that position to play that real good safety where you knock a ball to the end rail and one to the side rail and put the guy in a tough position to get out of the exchange.
Well, keep in mind this, Nick, that you're the world's bank pool champion as we speak. So therefore, this shot may play a little easier for you than most. Straight pool players aren't really, that adept at banking balls. But nevertheless, let's see what he does. Possibly he'll think the same way you do. Well,
how about that shot, Billy? Look at this. He's got a nice angle. It looks like to me on the 8 to get right in position for the 4, and that's with the. He's got 93, 94. If he can get these balls apart now, he seems to be looking at the 14.
Yeah, he was definitely determined to sustain his run by backing the 2 cross-side and very nicely executing that shot, opening up the balls, and he certainly has gotten rewarded for his effort.
Yeah, he might elect. No, he's going all the way up. The only thing bad about the 4-ball break shot is the fact that that 14 is not touching those other balls, and so you lose a little bit of speed, and usually they don't spread quite as good.
But it looks like he's gained a position on the 4 that he's going to, if he hits the 14, it'll be underneath the 14, and that's not going to be bad because he's still going to get a lot of action off of this break, it looks like to me.
Well, especially if, like you say, he just barely clips the 14, the cue ball's going to have a lot of power, but he may hit this softer and try to hit the balls a little fuller because he's got a real good chance to get a shot on the 14 or the 10 no matter what he does.
Oh, they opened up nicely for him there.
Oh, man.
That's picture perfect. Beautifully executed shot, and the ball certainly cooperated, opening up very nicely for him. Now all he needs to do is, because he really doesn't have an ideal break shot, he's going to have to manufacture something before the rack is out.
Yeah, I think he has a good chance to move that 1 and the 3 up a little bit off one of these 2 balls on the end rail, the 7 or possibly the 12, and he may do it right now. I think he has a great opportunity to move the 1 ball or the 3 ball in ideal position for the break, and boy, everything's kind of on that side of the table, which is really ideal as far as setting up on the break.
And a nicely executed shot. He does have a break ball now in the 1 ball. A little lower than he wanted, but certainly workable.
Yeah, I think I would settle for that 1 ball because it should be pretty easy to set up on because he's got so many balls up there close, and they're all kind of leaning toward that, where they favor that side of the table.
He doesn't seem to have any problem areas. He's on a run of 33, which will give him 99 balls. And now he has 100, needing only 50 more balls. I say only, but sometimes only is difficult.
Yeah, he does have 100, so he only needs 50 more.
35.
Got a run of 35, and we're running out of tape. I think we're going to have to change the tape after this rack is concluded, but we'll be right back.
Whatever he does here, he don't want to move the 1.
I wouldn't save the 14 for the lead ball. It doesn't look like it's positioned right for it to be a lead ball. I think I would deal with the 14 before the next to last ball. I wouldn't want to leave the 14 for a lead ball.
No, in fact, I think he was trying to get it a couple shots ago. I think he came up a little short on the 14, but I think he was trying to get it out of the way. I look for him, like you to say, to play it definitely before the last ball.
And now I think he's positioning the cue ball. I don't know. There isn't really anything natural now. He's going to have to work a little bit to get back in line for position.
I think he has to draw all the way back on the 14 right here.
38.
And that's exactly what he's done this time, executing the shot to near perfection.
Yeah, I like this. Man, just bounce off a little, and then you're not going to have to move the cue ball in the 9. This is just, you're not going to get in any trouble on setting up for the break shot when you end up with these two. Now, he may be too much angle. He's looked like going to play the 9, and ooh.
Well, he didn't get over far enough, Nick. Now he's got to do a little extra traveling with the cue ball. And you know what happens when you have to do a little extra traveling with the cue ball. Sometimes, you don't arrive on time.
Yeah, well, he has two choices. He can shoot hard, or else he got to go in the rack here.
And he's fallen short of the rack, Nick.
40.
Ooh. Well, he lost his speed on those last two shots, Billy.
Yes, he did.
I still think that he had room to roll that ball in and still hold his line on that 9. I think he made a little bit of judgment because he hit that 14 pretty hard and still came up way short.
Yes, he did. I think well, we're going to have to change the tape, but we'll finish our thought when we get back. On that, I do totally agree with what you said, Nick. I thought that he had a reasonable, good line on the ball to hold it for the 9, and he was going to get position on the break just about 100% of the time off of that angle that he would have ended up with it on the 9. And he's found himself out of line now because of he chose the other route. And it's hard for me to disagree with Souquet because he's been playing so flawlessly in this tournament, but I think that particular time he may have made a little judgment error.
Okay, now he's going to whack us off the side rail and try to catch the stack, but he was just so full in that 1. That's pretty hard to create much speed to get away from the rack because you've got to really have some speed on that type of break shot, and it's pretty hard to generate it. But we got the score 107 for Ralf Souquet and 61 for Chin. And Chin is definitely getting ready to come to the table, Billy.
No, there's no question about that. I mean, he's definitely going to come to the table. I don't know how good of a shot he's going to have, but he's definitely going to have an opportunity to do something when he comes back to the table.
Looks like Ralph's going to challenge him here. He's going to leave that 13 ball hanging out there. No, he isn't either.
Safety allowed.
I like this better. I didn't like the idea of thinning the 15 and giving the guy the opportunity to cut the 13 in because something good could have happened from that. I like the idea of playing a little more defensive and leaving a guy where he doesn't have a shot where if he makes a hard shot he could possibly, I mean he still could make this hard shot, but this is a lot harder from where it's at than it would be up around the corner pocket.
Yeah, and it's definitely a testament to the creativity that Ralf Souquet has.
13 ball.
He's playing this ball. Wow, this is a hard shot, Billy.
He's going to get stuck in the rack. Wait, the 12 came out.
He may. But boy, how do you draw this back being so close to that 12? Because he needs to draw back and clear the 2 for that 8 ball to the rest of the stack. But boy, he might be able to.
He's going to be very careful not to foul
this. Boy, this is. Yeah, it's just that's hard to do. But
didn't have the quickness in that stroke that he needed to have to get the ball back in the area that he needed to be in.
He's looking at this 2-8 combination. And one thing we've seen already in this match, he's definitely not afraid to shoot at the pocket.
Oh, that's for sure. That was evidenced in just about all his matches. When I was watching him play, he realized what he had to do, and it was really not much indecision out there on his part. He went ahead and he did it. And I think that that bodes well for him because he's got a lot of courage, and it certainly has got him to where he is right now. You know, he may have faltered in shooting the 11 behind his back a couple racks ago, but he really hasn't missed too many of the shots that he's shot in this tournament because he's the only undefeated player left in the tournament.
Well, right now, this is a real crucial exchange right here, Billy, in this match because Ralph has a lead, but it's definitely not a commanding lead. And what's more important is to have a good shot and have control of the table than that 40-ball lead. We teased Ralph on that 11 a little bit there, Billy, but Ralph said no deal, but I think maybe he should have shot at the 11 because he didn't play a very good safety. He hit that ball too thick.
Well, you know, the shot he selected was a shot that was a very demanding shot, maybe asking a little bit too much of him at that time, Nick.
Which in, he's got to be pretty happy because if he can bear down here and get this rack open, he has to be delighted that he's no further behind than this, and he can go on out. He only needs 87 and out, and he's done that more than once in this tournament, run that many balls.
He has, but for some reason in this match, he doesn't seem to be executing with the accuracy and with the good judgment that he's been doing in his other matches. So therefore, maybe, just maybe, he's a little nervous out there when you consider this is the finals of U.S. Open Championships, and this will be the first major tournament he'll have won in our country. A lot more added pressure for Mr. Chin from Taipei, I believe it is, Taiwan, for sure.
Tell you what, I think he needed to be back a couple more inches to get that cue ball to stop in time to break him off for 3. Yeah, in fact, watch out corner pocket here. Oh man, he's going to end up a little short. But boy, if he got all the way to the end rail, he was going to have fun.
Well, if he can get the ball back for the 3 ball, he will have done a good job because it's not going to be easy. Doesn't look like it from my vantage point, at least. Well, he's done a fairly decent job, and I do believe he has a nice shot on the 3. A little steep, but
he just got to be careful that 15 does not catch the 3. That 3 has to get by for that 10-9.
You're right.
It cleared, and I think he made a nice decision there in shooting firm because that helps that ball get by, and you can get the double kiss on that shot.
Well, that's like room service. You know, you go across and you figure that, you know, he may get in trouble here, and all of a sudden you look up and it's like, you know, well, this is what you want, you have it.
That's like threading a needle there, Billy. He hit that so nice. That was really a precision shot.
6 ball.
I tell you what, Billy, for the first time in this match, Chin's got an opportunity now to really make Ralf Souquet play a mistake for that last mistake on that safety exchange. He's got a great break shot there.
8.
Like he wants to play the 5, go down, fall on the 14, and then he doesn't have to move the cue ball very far to get on the 9, and then he can come up with a nice angle for the break. This is 3 balls you like to end up with every time.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why you said this. He has a golden opportunity now, considering the way the balls were lying, and he's at the table with a nice open table. It looks like he's going to get into the next rack. He's got an ideal break shot. He's on a run of 11. He does trail on the match 107-74, but he does have the luxury of going to the table with an ideal break shot in the 10.
Yeah, I'd rather be in his position right now than Ralf Souquet's because he's at the table and he's got a great break shot, and he's only 74, 30, 33 balls behind, which that's just a couple of racks, and I think now's his opportunity to win the match.
Yeah, he most certainly has to have something. He has to come away with a decent run here to have a chance in this match. And if he's able to run some balls there, he's going to definitely be a favorite.
Well,
Had a pretty good shot on the 13, Billy. He's going to have to remove that 12 before he can come around. Maybe. Well, I don't know if that 9 goes for a break shot. He's looking right now.
And the way the match has been played, I do believe Souquet will make at least one more appearance at the table, because it just seems like, to me is that Chin seems to be playing a little nervously. And I do believe Souquet will make at least one more appearance back at the table. But of course, I don't have to be right.
No, a lot of it's going to determine what he does in these next 2 or 3 shots with this rack, because this is not automatic. He gets through this rack here.
11 ball.
He don't have that many balls left out there, Billy, to get this rack open.
14.
No problem there. Evidently, I guess this 9 ball goes, or else he's going to have to draw into him right here.
15.
That may not have worked. That may not have worked out well for him. But he does have. It looks like he has the 5, and now he's looking at the 15, the 3-ball combination.
15 ball.
I think he got a break here. I think got to be careful cutting the 4 that way, because he could throw this 15 out of the hole.
16.
Tell you what, he didn't get a very good yield there, Billy.
Well, I believe the 9 goes, but the balls are opened up fairly well. I mean, the 9 goes. He should have come up with a shot after he shoots the 9, if that's the next ball he shoots.
Not sure that 9 ball goes. He's never really looked at that 9 ball. If the 9 ball goes, I think I might shoot it right now.
Well, then maybe you're right, because if it
think-
goes, he should shoot it right now.
I think he's going to go break him out. Right? No, he isn't. He's
17.
playing position, but looks like to me he's come up way, way, way short.
Well, I don't know what goes from the position he's left himself in, if anything.
I was thinking maybe there he should go ahead and whack him and try to come into that 5 or 8 in that direction with some low left spin, or even if he comes into the 7. I don't know if I'd played position. I know he was playing position for the 14, but that wasn't easy. He was real close to the 3. And
Your way of thinking, has a lot of merit to it. I think that doing what you described was much easier than playing position. So therefore, why not? Because now you have the benefit of opening up the balls. He's playing the 2. He's playing a combination billiard. Do you know that he got a kiss off the 1? The billiard actually was hit thickly, and he got another kiss off the 1, which aided the shot. Had he not got the kiss off the 1, he would have been in his chair.
I tell you what, Billy, that's that's a dangerous shot, and boy, that could be maybe some kind of omen there on who's going to win this match. That's a monster break he got there. When you're talking about he got that extra kiss in there, he really wasn't counting on.
Well, what he did was, quite frankly, Nick, he played a very low percentage shot because he was desperate. I don't know if he really clearly thought his way through, but evidently it was a low percentage shot, and he got a kiss off the 1, which aided him in that particular shot, and now he's got another
21.
opportunity to make good with.
One ball.
Tell you what, you got a lot of choices here. You could go 6-9-7, or you can go 9-6-7.
22.
I like coming up for the 6 here and then playing the 7. But some players like the 6 ball better, but I like the 7 ball better for a key ball here myself.
23.
Well, it looks like he's positioned the cue ball to do either.
Yeah, well,
7 ball.
And after he runs the 7 and the 6, playing position for the break ball with the 8 break ball, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and take a look at that very difficult shot that he shot when he pocketed the 2.
Yeah, because I tell you what, that could end up being the shot that turns the match around, Billy. That might have been the winning shot. At least it's huge at this point.
Mr. Chin is on a run of 25 balls. He'll be shooting
Now
8
notice that the
balls.
7 hits the 2, and the 2 hits the 6 on the thick side, and it's not going toward the pocket. But fortunately, the 7 hits the 1, and the 1 hits the 2 again, and knocks the 2 in the pocket. And see it?
Boy, that was going to come above the pocket. Boy, what a fortunate extra rub on that 1 really was. You hit the nail on the head there, Billy. That extra kiss, he was going to miss the pocket 3 inches with that 1 on the high side.
Unless he knows something we don't know when he played it that way, but I really highly doubt that.
Well, that's over my head if he played that extra
way
kiss.
Upstairs.
That's okay. Now he's got control of the game. A great break shot on the 8. Boy, now that was a nice speed he hit those with. I like that control. Just a nice soft touch. He can't lose the cue ball, and boy, he's got a nice yield. He can possibly open him up off that 14 real nice, Billy. All of a sudden, I tell you what, he's starting to look at a little different pattern all of a sudden. Now he can play the 3 and kind of just stop and then open him up off the 14, and then he's got the 12 as an out ball. I like it when I get in this position.
He's got some good action coming up off the 6 here. It's going to open up the pocket for the 5. He's going to have the 12 for an insurance ball. He doesn't have to hit this hard. You know, see, the 5 is going to be available after he shoots the 12, do some more damage. So therefore, you know, he's gotten himself in a pretty good position. And he's at the table. He's leading. No, he's not leading yet, but he only trails by 15 balls, and he's at the table, which is just like him being in the lead.
Yeah, he's on a 30-ball run, and at the end of this rack, I think it'll be
31.
Okay, he's on a 31-ball run. So I tell you what, look the way these are laying, Billy. Looks like he may put some pressure on Ralf with this inning at the table.
He'll still be trailing Souquet after this rack is over, but not by much. He's still going.
Now he's got. He doesn't really have a good break shot here. He needs to get around before he removes too many more balls and use that 9 to push that 4 over. And because once he removes the 7, he's not going to really have anything to shoot when he does that.
Well, he could possibly play the 5, the 12 in the corner, the 2 on the side, and drop for the 9. No, he's opting to go. Oh, he missed the 5 ball. He must have totally taken his eye off the 5 ball. I don't know what he did, but he couldn't have possibly been concentrating on pocketing the 5. I think he was preoccupied somewhat in maybe playing position and totally took his eye off the 5.
I think he lost his focus on the 5. I think he was so worried about falling on the right angle on that 12 ball that I think he his eyes followed the cue ball instead of the 5, and that's really a huge unforced error there.
You know, he hasn't been playing as smoothly, obviously, in this match as he has been throughout the week, and that's why I made that statement that I do believe Souquet will get back to the table at least one more time. I said at least one more time because Chin hasn't really proven anything to me in terms of can he take it off here in the finals, because he's faltered quite a few times. And if he would have been able to sustain the caliber of play he's played throughout the tournament, he probably would have won this match by now.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and you definitely hit the nail on the head with the fact that I wasn't so sure Ralf, after that kiss off the 1 the last game to make that 2, I thought he might go ahead and run out, but you were right, Billy. Ralf comes back with a golden opportunity.
He may even try to create something here off of the, I thought he was going to try to create a break shot off of the 12 there. He had the ability to knock either the 9 or the 4 on the other side of the rack. He didn't see it that way. I'm surprised that he didn't opt to try to do some, you know, manufacturing at that time.
He's definitely running out of manufacturing opportunities. I think he may have to start thinking. I mean, his only other manufacturing opportunity is use the 9 to push the 4 over, and that option's not going to be available too long unless he wants to leave maybe the cue ball in the rack and do that. Well, the 1s land perfect, though, Billy. That's right about the angle he needs. If he could save that to last, a bad pattern here is 5, 7, 1, and push the 4 over and take the cue ball in hand behind the line. That's one option.
Yes, that is an option, and that may be exactly what he's trying to do. I mean, it's certainly very clear to you, and now also to me, that that's available.
Okay, what we're talking about is when he plays position here on the 1, is end up with the cue ball about where the 1's at, and cut this stripe in the corner pocket, push the 4 over in this area here, and then end up with that cue ball in the rack here about where the 4's at.
And that kind of looks like what he has in mind.
But he's got a little more angle. He may have trouble finding that because he's got a lot of angle on this 1 ball here.
Yeah, he may end up too high on the 9.
I think he's okay, though. I think even he's lined up, I think, right center of the pocket, so with a little force he can push the 4 out. But he don't want to push it too high. He'd like to cut it just a hair and keep it a little lower.
But if he cuts it too much, the cue ball's not going to stay in the stack.
Right. That's the... Ooh, he pushed it a little too far, maybe. It makes this pocketing this 4 a lot harder. That extra couple of inches there changes the shot drastically, Billy.
It certainly does, and the reason it does change the shot drastically because it's nearer to that long cushion, and he's shooting into a smaller pocket.
Score Souquet 114.
And the cue ball will not have the velocity on it going into the rack.
And if it does, that even makes the pocket play even smaller. So therefore, he certainly has his work cut out for him in terms of pocketing this break ball and opening up the stack.
Well, there's a couple options he has here, and he'll probably play the one that's the most comfortable to him. He can roll it forward, clip the 7 and 13, split those, and try to drag 2 or 3 balls down behind the rack, or the other option is he can set it up where he can pound it in and go into the rack.
I kind of like your first option, at least I do. You know, the accuracy of the shot will not be in question, and you're going to stay at control. You're going to stay in control of the table. I like that option a little bit better. But he's opting to go. Opting to shoot it with a power stroke into the rack. This is a lot more risky than the first option.
Well, it makes that corner pocket a lot smaller. At that harder speed, he has to get that ball in relatively clean. If he catches hardly any of that long rail, that ball's not going.
No, it's not.
This is one you really got to stay down on, Billy. You got to really keep that head still. And boy, he hit that with a nice, beautiful stroke. But I don't know yet if he got a shot. It looks like he can maybe cut the 11 in the side. He's looking hard at the 7 ball.
I think it's the 1 ball that he's looking at. I do believe.
Is he?
Yeah, from our monitor there, and the same way you people at home can see it. And in whatever billiard room you're in, the 13 and the 7 are spread enough apart to where he can possibly shoot the 1 in between the 13 and the 7.
Well, that's certainly... he's got 116. He needs 34. So after this rack, he's going to need 16, 14, 130. He only needs one more break shot after this rack, Billy. Tell you what I like here. I like opening these balls. I like going into the top side of that 5 off the 7 and 9 and getting that cue ball back up table. And the sooner the better. He may play the 10 next year.
11.
Well, he's not going to play the 2 now because he's going to be shooting over the 6. So therefore, I have to rule that out. The 11 seems a little thin in the side. He's going to lose control of the cue ball a little bit, or it's going to be more difficult to control it at least. The 10 seems to be the ball he'll play. The 10, the 6, 11, and then the 7.
Yeah, he seems to be looking at exactly what you called, Billy, 6-11, and then break him off the 7.
And that's the ball you described a little earlier that was available, and you would definitely try to get to. All I was doing was playing off of your lead. Seems kind of safe most of the time.
I'm really interested in seeing how these come out here. I'm interested in seeing where he hits the 5, because
he's going to clip the top of the 13 on the angle that he has now, Nick.
you think he's going to hit the 13?
Yeah, he's going to
first?
clip. I would be surprised if he didn't hit the top of the 13 from the angle he's left himself.
Well, I would like to miss the 13 here myself. You're right, Billy. He did catch it.
Okay,
And
now
boy, look at that 15. If he, I don't know if he can slide by that 9 or not. It would really be nice if he could.
He would
but
like,
not if he has to soft spin it. He needs to be able to get away from there, because he just can't float forward straight ahead, or he won't have a shot. But I tell you what, I think the right shot here, he may have to go.
well, I think the
Oh,
right
my
shot would either be
goodness.
the 13 or the 15. Too much of a gamble trying to twirl the 3 in. Even if he's able to put the 3 down, chances are he may end up behind the 2. He can't really gamble there, so he's going to either have to shoot the 15 or the 13.
This is kind of interesting here. I'm not sure I would shoot this ball, but
And he struck it very nicely and softly.
sure did. Well, that brings up an important part. When you pick a ball, like some players like the 13, some like the 15 maybe, the bottom line is the most important thing is whichever one you pick that it goes in, like Ralph has done.
Yeah. After we see him execute that shot, there's no doubt in our minds now he chose the right shot. Obviously, the same shot we would have chosen. Hitting the thin side of the 3, didn't want to run into the 2.
That caused him some problems, because that puts him, I think he was maybe, he definitely overcut it, and that sent the cue ball to a different place than he was trying.
He has room, the 9 will pass the 5.
What he's worried about now is what will he use for the break shot. That's foremost in his mind, because like you say, he's got an easy shot on the 9, but that perfect break shot's not out there this time, Billy.
He's going to have to be careful on where it could possibly be a break ball.
Yeah, I would have to use the 5 myself here. The toughest part about this 3-ball pattern is he needs good speed when he plays the next shot to get on that 12. He has to get up high enough to stay down on the 5.
Let me ask you something, Nick. Do you go 2 cushions with the cue ball, or do you try to go kill it and go 1 cushion?
Here, since I think I would go 1 cushion here.
Yeah, 1 cushion played much more
Because
natural.
if you can go too far with that reverse, because it picks up speed so much that you could get where you might actually have to run into the 5, and I'd rather, what he did eliminated almost that possibility of happening. The 1 rail versus the 2 rail.
And given the opportunity to go 1 rail opposed to 2 rails in that situation is clearly the right way to play it. I didn't think he had the angle that he had. He made it seem so easy by going 1 cushion that was clearly the right choice.
Well, I think if you go on that shot 2 rails, I don't think it'll be quite so easily executed. Even if Ralph went 2 rails, I don't think he could find that angle so easily. The key there was the decision, I think, to play at 1 rail.
Oh, absolutely. I thought he was a little flatter than he was on the angle that he had on the 2.
He was a little bit flat, but I think all he had to do was cut the ball in left center, and that gave him plenty of angle to. He doesn't want to be on this rail over here, either 1 rail.
He needs 22 balls, Nick. He leads in the match 128 to 95. He needs 22 balls. That means this rack and 8 more in the next rack. So, therefore, he only needs to look at 1 more break shot if he's able to run this rack.
And the way he's playing, I certainly wouldn't bet that he doesn't get out here.
Well, he's the player with the most experience between the two players, so therefore you have to give him the edge in that area. And I really think that's where he won this match, because of the experience that he has and actually the inexperience that Chin has.
I think that's a key point. Ralph's been playing over here now for a long time, and he does have that tournament experience going for him of playing on the American Tour, and I think that possibly, like you say, could be the experience factor, could be the deciding factor here.
23.
He's fallen a little bit short on the 9 here. Maybe he's got the 1-3 combination. I don't know. He's going to take a look at that now. Very quick look. He doesn't like it.
Well, he's not in any trouble. I think if he plays the 9 in the side, he can drag it toward the middle for the 2. I don't think there's any danger of it. Well, I think I would go the more safer route here, because you don't want to take any chance with all. If you just clear these balls off the table and you fail to get a break shot and fail to get out, that doesn't mean that you can't play him safe. At this stage of the match, I don't think I'd take any chance if I could help it and ending up with a shot I might miss.
Well, the reason I said he looks like he didn't get where he wanted to get on the 9, because he was laying a little thin on the 9, and it took an extra type of a stroke for him to control the cue ball, but he did it quite nicely. But it wasn't natural by any means.
He's one key ball that he needs to get out of the way here pretty soon is that 8 ball. He needs to open up this other corner pocket. That would be one of the things, if I was running this pattern, that I'd be real concerned of, is I'd like to get that 8 out of there.
He could have gotten the 8 out of there the last shot, but maybe he didn't like the angle that he had on that particular shot, so he wanted to change it just a little bit.
Well, I think he wanted to. You're right. You hit the nail on the head. He was a little fuller where he couldn't swing around 2 rails like that. And
because it wasn't really imperative that he had to shoot the 7, because the 7 wasn't a bad ball where it was lying. So therefore, he wanted to shoot the 7 just to change the angle on the 8 just a little bit, enough for him to be able to control it a little bit easier.
I tell you what, if he's going to pretty well have to play, if that 11 don't go, he's going to have a hard time not playing a combination here unless he breaks him out off the 10.
Now keep in mind, he did look at that 1-3 combination possibility a little earlier in the rack, so therefore, if it comes down to it later on in the rack where he needs to play that may be available.
I tell you, he's got a lot of choices. He can play the 2 and shoot the 10 and then the 14, and he still got the 11 for a break shot.
And it looks like he may be going toward the 10 here. This is kind of curious.
This is important. I would definitely want to stay on top of that 13 here, because you got that 4 for some kind of an out ball, and he kind of went below it, but he's kind of fortunate. He did fall straight in the corner on the 13, but if he had to cut that 13 a lot, he'd kind of be in a funny position.
Not only did it fall nicely for the 13, but if you notice the 14 in relation to the 11, if he's able to reposition the cue ball, ideally for the 14 to knock the 11 even in a better position for the break ball, he would have certainly accomplished a lot.
You're right, Billy. The only thing I hate about that 11 is I do like saving that 4-1 as the key balls, even though it's a little lower and it's not quite as attractive. There's a lot to be said for getting a break shot at this stage of the match that you have no chance to miss.
Right. But now he's given himself an option, and there's nothing wrong with that. He'll make his decision maybe after the next ball is pocketed, which ball he likes best for the break ball, the 1 or the 11.
Well, this is kind of like, I think, dealer's choice here. I think both of them are pretty good. It looks like... I tell you, not a real bad way to go here is go 4-1 and go that 2-rail angle around the 11.
You're very persistent with that 2-rail angle shot, aren't you?
I love it. I love that setup shot.
And evidently he must as well.
I don't like drawing back from that 4 for that 11. I just don't like that.
It looks like
angle.
from the angle that he's left himself with Nick, it's almost lies natural. He looks like he's going to have to put a little outside English to make sure that he clears the 11 here.
Well, that's ideal because that's the way he would like to hit it anyway, with just a hair of outside, you know. I mean,
yeah. Notice how closely he came to hitting the 11 ball.
I tell you what, he's got such a good shot. This is one I would definitely, I would not try too much finesse here. I would take no. I wouldn't want to take the gamble here on sticking in the rack because if he can just get a shot after this break, the match is basically probably over. Billy, it's 142 to 95, and I tell you what, I thought Chin might run out his last inning at the table, but like happens to all of us, he had a kind of a tricky position shot, and I think his eyes just happened, and instead of following the 5, he just was more interested where the cue ball's going, and we all know that that's very possible to do, but it looks like Ralf is, it's liable to be the shot that it's for Ralf. The key is Chin doesn't come into play on the match right now. If he can execute this break shot good and get a shot after the break, it's not going to matter much what Chin does at this stage of the match.
No, I don't think Chin's going to have anything to say about this match.
And Ralf knows, he knows his destiny's all in his hands right now, and he's taking dead aim at this one.
And actually, Ralf Souquet is the type of a player that I like to have going for me in situations like this. Okay, he pocketed 2 balls on that shot. Now he needs, I believe, 6 more balls. There's 4 balls that we can see that are open. That means he's going to have to manufacture something. It looks like the 4 ball is a pretty good ball to do that with.
Yeah, a bad way to go here. I might take the 15-3-5, come up for the 4 and break them off that. Or another thing I like, too, I think that's actually maybe even better, maybe not as easy, but better, is draw from the 15 and try to fall on the 4 where you can go down here, and I think they would open up like butter if he could play position to break them off the 5. But there's a little more risk because if you don't fall straight on the 4, you could get in trouble. But you can also get in trouble if you don't get a shot when you break them on the 4, but it looks like he may even be going to break them right here.
You don't think he's showing any impatience in doing that, do you?
Not the way he hit it. I mean, he hit it a nice speed where he had that low on it, and there wasn't much danger of scratching.
And for you people out there that don't think there's any suspense left in this match, I think you're wrong, because he's going to have to shoot over the 8 to play the combination. And then if he does that, he always, there's a chance that he may foul the 8, because this is not an easy shot.
Yeah, I would be glad when this one's over. And looks like, though, Billy, he can use a little English on this and not go over the 8. And that makes it pretty tough for him to foul when he's going to soft roll this shot for position. Well, no, he hit a little firmer. I don't understand him hitting that firm, because if the 3 don't go, he's going to have to probably play the 10-2. I would have soft rolled that and played the 2 next.
Yeah, I would have done the same. Souquet now is calling timeout. I do believe he's going to make sure he knows exactly how many balls he does need from this position, because this is for the U.S. title here, and he should have some concern on how many balls he needs.
He must have shot that firm, Billy, because, well, he's lining up on the 3 here, so it must have close to a full pocket. This is probably the most...
But I would have much rather been shooting the 2 opposed to the 3.
2 ball.
I was just told that when he shot the combination,
41. Mr. Souquet is shooting for 2.
He's going to hit the... Well, it's a pretty easy combination. And he does have a choice to cut the 10 in. But...
who wants to fool with a combination?
Not at this stage.
No.
Nobody.
Because the combinations are missable, even one that appears as easy as this one.
He just got to be sure he hits a 5 full. It's hard to miss it full. That's the pro side, Billy.
He's playing for 1.
Well, Ralf Souquet, 2000 U.S. Open champion, and he's got to be a happy camper, Billy.
Oh, no question about that, you know, but he really has earned his position here as the U.S. Open champion. He took a little longer route than Min-Wai. Yeah, I was told that he fouled the 8 ball by more than one person, but obviously the referee didn't see it.
Chinese Taipei, Min-Wai Chin. Mr. Chin. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite everybody to stick around for the awards presentation. Very good job. Come on out here. Ron Black. And one more time, a hand for our champion, Ralf Souquet, Nancy, Germany. Great playing, Ralph. We deserve the win.
Well, I guess that we're going to have to wait and probably do an interview with Souquet in a short while. Pat, what do you want us to do here? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to close off now, and we'll be back shortly with Ralph in just a moment. He's going to have to give him a little time to...
Well, I've certainly enjoyed working with you tonight, Billy. As usual, it's been fun.
Yes, it has.
I had a blast, and it's great to see you again, and I'll be looking forward to working with you again.
Yeah, I really enjoy working with you all the time, Nick. You're such a knowledgeable player, and it's certainly a pleasure to work with you because you make it so easy for me to do my job. And the next time I'm here, though, I want to see you out there because, you know, I like watching you play, and I would like to see you out there. And maybe I'll have to work with Mike Siegel or someone like that. No, but I really do enjoy working with you. So, in behalf of Nick Varner, this is Bill Incardona saying thanks a lot for supporting ACCUSTATS. But don't go away because we'll be back momentarily with Ralf Souquet. I'm standing here with our new U.S. Open straight pool champion, Ralf Souquet, and the person responsible for bringing this wonderful event to New York City, Ron Blatt, Mr. Blatt Billiards. Thanks a lot, Ron. We really appreciate you making the effort to bring this tournament to us here. I'm certainly sure Ralf Souquet is happy, and I think you want to say a couple things and maybe even present Ralph with a check.
Check would be forthcoming, right? Ralph, I want to thank you, and I appreciate what you did, and your stuff was just magical. The whole tournament was incredible, and your play was wonderful. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Ralph.
That's it?
I mean, Ron, excuse me.
Yeah.
Ralph. Ron, excuse me.
Ralph, I'm Ron.
I'm Ron.
Yeah, we got that.
I'll take over now.
Okay.
Okay.
I wish
Anyways, Ron, once again, you know, I think we need more quality tournaments like this here tournament you put on here for us in New York City because everyone loves New York, and New York's a perfect city to have any type of a tournament. Straight pool, probably the appropriate tournament because you have a lot of straight pool enthusiasts here in New York, and I'm certainly sure this week they've been certainly entertained.
Oh, no question. I mean, New York is the capital of the world, and this is straight pool world. I mean, in New York, we play it straight, man. I mean, this is it, you know.
Tell me, are you entertaining the thought of bringing this tournament back next year?
Absolutely, no question. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Somehow we're going to do it.
Well, that's what I like to see. I like to be back here next year as well because I certainly had a wonderful time here in New York.
Great having everybody, and we hope to have you back next year, man.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ron. Now, Ralph, you're the man. You're the man. Okay, you're the U.S. Open straight pool champion. You have a lot of major 9-ball titles under your belt. How do you feel right now?
Well, it's a great honor to win such a big tournament in straight pool. Being on the list with Steve Miserak, Willie Mosconi, Ralph Greenleaf, Mike Siegel, and I don't know who else. There are so many great players. And winning such a big event is like winning Wimbledon in tennis.
Well, we really certainly couldn't have asked for a better representative than you, Ralph, because you're certainly a gentleman. You know, off the table, everyone has good things to say about you. On the table, you speak for yourself. So you're really a fine representative to have for our U.S. Open champion. And next year, the tournament will be back. We look forward to seeing you back here again, obviously. You probably have your expenses paid, a hotel room. Is that right, Ron?
Well, we'll see.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, we'll see. All right. Anyways, once again, I wanted to congratulate you on winning this event. And I think you're going to be a great representative for any country. And I really mean that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Great stuff.
Okay, on behalf of ACCUSTATS, in behalf of Ralf Souquet, Ron Blatt, this is Bill Incardona saying thanks a lot for supporting ACCUSTATS. Give Pat a call, 800-828-0397.